to move to Japan. They're actually encouraging people to move to Japan.
I saw a YouTube video on that.
Is there a more urgent issue in Japan right now than this demographic crisis?
There are climate change, government deficit, but if there's no people living in Japan,
It's all relevant.
Breaking news. Japan is designating 4 cities to be the home of Africans from 4 countries. And those countries are Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic we came across, and this is not the first time we're tackling this topic on our channel, right? So we're going to be talking about how desperately Japan needs to repopulate their population and how right now they're facing the threat of their country dying out in terms of population.
Not only population, but also economy. And if most of you can remember, last year we also did a video where Japan was calling on black men to go and help repopulate that population, and some were even being offered money so that they could go and settle in Japan, and this was said to be by a certain company in Japan.
Right now, new news has emerged that they are calling upon Africans to go. They've even designated certain areas where Africans will be living in their country, right? They want Africans to go and join their country.
Right, but before we talk so much on this topic, guys, let's watch this video and then we come back and talk about it. You can also let us know what you think about this episode down on the comment section, and consider subscribing if you're new to our channel.
Let's watch.
Almost 1 million more people died than were born in Japan last year, making it the steepest yearly population decline since records began. Just over 686,000 babies were born in 2024, while nearly 1.6 million people died. That means for every baby born, more than 2 people passed away. You can read more of the stats on the link below. Elderly people, aged 65 and over, now make up nearly 30% of Japan's population, the second highest proportion in the world after Monaco, according to the World Bank. The Japanese government has tried to increase birth rates, with incentives like free childcare, flexible working hours, and paid parental leave. But it's not having much impact, and the nation's healthcare and pension systems are feeling the squeeze. High living costs, stagnant wages, and a rigid work culture put many young people off starting families, and entrenched gender roles often leave women with limited support as primary care.
Is there a more urgent issue in Japan right now than this demographic crisis?
there are climate change, government deficit, but if there's no people living in Japan,
it's all relevant. Climate change and government deficits in the military if you don't have people living here.
That's right. The central door is only for the emperor when he...
A longtime high-ranking minister in Japan's parliament, Taro Kono, was nearly elected prime minister in 2021 and says he intends to seek the highest office again.
What does Japan look like if it continues to shrink like this?
There are less and less number of young generation, and all the burdens are on the young generation, and they won't be able to sustain. So society is going to be breaking up. Economy is going to stagnate. Even for self-defense force, last year we recruited only half of what we need.
The Japanese military.
You feel it.
Breaking news. Japan is designating 4 cities to be the home of Africans from 4 countries. And those countries are Nigeria, Tanzania, Ghana, and Mozambique. Now, Japan has been notorious for keeping out foreigners. And Japan is facing a massive crisis. It's facing a massive crisis of lack of population growth. So hospitals and schools have been closing in Japan for the last so many years. The biggest crisis they have right now is that they have a very large aging population, and now they are realizing that they have to open the doors for Africans, but they don't want the Africans to be mixing with the Japanese people, so they have created and assigned 4 cities that will become the hometowns for Africans. It makes me laugh because, like, what is it about Africans that, you know what? Yeah, we Africans should just refuse to be treated this way. That they don't want the actual Africans to mix with normal Japanese people, so they have to assign locations where Africans will stay, will be confined. And because I don't think people realize just how right-wing Japan is. Tell me, what do you think about this? Why is it that Africans allow themselves to be treated and I know Africans need to go to places because it seems like because opportunities are thin on the ground. But how can we just continue to just be treated in this way? What do you guys think? Just let me know in the comments what you think about Japan designating 4 cities in which Africans can live in Japan.
Guys, Japan's population is dying. They're like estimating that like by 2100, a lot of these prefectures might be shut down because no one's having kids in Japan. So the government, I'm going to show you guys the articles. The government is launching a dating app. This is hopefully to like get people to go out there and talk and get married, have kids, have babies. It's crazy to me. Like Japan will do everything but release the restrictions of the visa and how to get to Japan. I think they're worried, or in my opinion, I think they're worried because if too many foreigners just come to Japan, like the integrity of Japan might be compromised, as in like the history of Japan. It will not be the same Japan, right? If all these foreigners come here and are living in Japan, right? But at the same time, like, what do you guys think they should do? Let me know in the comments. They're already blocking off like the Mount Fuji sign. From the Lawson, like over tourism is a thing here, especially in Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, all these main big places, right? So what would happen if they released the visa restrictions? Let me know.
A Japanese lawmaker proposed that women over 25 cannot marry, and women over 30 must have their uteruses removed as a way to increase Japan's declining birth rate. I'll explain. Naoki Hayakuta has sparked widespread outrage with his controversial proposals aimed at addressing Japan's declining birth rate. Hayakuta's remarks were made during a YouTube program where he discussed potential measures to increase Japan's birth rate. He suggested that all women in Japan should undergo forced hysterectomies after the age of 30 and be banned from marrying after 25. Additionally, Hayakuta proposed restricting women's access to education beyond the age of 18 to prioritize childbearing over other pursuits. According to him, these extreme measures would pressure women to have children earlier, reversing the nation's demographic decline. Japan has been grappling with the declining birth rate and an aging population for several decades. The country's birth rate has dropped to its lowest level since 1969. Japan's health ministry reported only 350,074 births between January and June, marking a 5.7% decline compared to the same period last year. Women across Japan fiercely condemned the Conservative Party leader's remarks, calling them oppressive and deeply misogynistic. Facing intense backlash, Hayakuta later issued an apology, claiming his comments were merely a hypothetical idea. He then stated that they were meant to spark discussion within the framework of a science fiction storyline, and that he did not personally support these ideas. What do you think about Hayakuta's remarks? Let us know in the comments.
To move to Japan, they're actually encouraging people to move to Japan.
Bro, I saw a YouTube video on that. This
Yeah.
dude was, I think he moved from like LA or somewhere in California, and for like 110 grand, he got like an acre and a half or something like that, or more maybe.
Well, Japan is experiencing population collapse.
What?
Yeah, they're not having kids at a replacement rate. So replacement rate means like if there's 2 parents, you should have like 3 or more kids. Like you have, if you're trying to replace the people that are here, when you think about how many people are going to die of old age, how many people are going to die, how many people are going to live, how does the population sustain itself over the course of the next X amount of generations? Well, you have to have a high replacement rate. And right now, Japan has a very low replacement rate. Like it's spooky low. We're at the point where they're in a panic and they're trying to figure out how to encourage people to move to Japan, how to get people in Japan to have kids.
Oh, because there's like
A lot of incels, though.
that's
That's what it is.
But
Yeah.
no, what I'm saying is like I mean that's got to be kind of scary, because if they're not replacing people, that means like fucking jobs won't get
Not just
replaced too.
jobs. The country's gonna go. There won't be any people left.
What do you mean? I mean, there would just be way less people, but it's not like they're gonna all disappear.
Well, they'll all die off, and if they don't have kids,
I'm worried
that's
about
it.
like who's gonna fucking farm and take care of the animals and shit.
Yeah, well, there's going to be less of that too, but they're probably the people that will have kids, is the farmers and the rural people. But what is Japan's replacement rate? It's very low, right,
How's
Jamie?
our replacement rate? We're all right, right? We're not getting knocked up like crazy.
A little weird too.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're in a weird situation too.
I feel like
so there's
all
a
my
lot
friends
of people
knocked
here.
up their girlfriends already.
Well, that's good. that's nice. There's a lot of people here, and there's a lot more people aren't having kids than have ever before. It's different. We're not in danger, but like South Korea is in danger. Like South Korea, the replacement rate is really bad. Yeah, I think it's something crazy. Like how many people that are alive today will have grandchildren, and it's very small.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about the episode we just played you here. You know, it's really, really bad when the government decides to involve itself in the personal lives of its citizens, like them creating a dating app in order to encourage them to mingle, socialize, and procreate, you know.
Right, because at the beginning of this episode, there's a lady who was speaking about how they have divided 4 cities where they've exclusively said that Africans are going to be staying there. For me personally, what she said kind of made sense, because she was likening it to some sort of prison, because like if you genuinely want people to go and help provide a labor force and also procreate, you know, the easiest and the most sensible thing would be for those people to go and mingle with the natives in there, right? But she was seeing it as a certain prison, of which I also do feel like to some extent this might be true, because when all these Africans who migrate to that place are in one place, it makes it easier for the government to surveil them and to know what they're up to, right?
Right, it's like a question of who needs who more, because even also Africans, I can imagine there's a lot of them who are willing to go there, but this is where they say have some dignity in order to be treated better, you know.
But also in Africa, there's a high level of poverty that if someone is seated in Africa and not doing anything, people are always looking for opportunities. And if it means moving to Japan, to that city, to get that opportunity, I see most Africans who are in dire need of opportunities going to that place.
Right, and I also have to mention that when I was looking at this story on TikTok, a lot of people brought the concern of how Japan has such strong visa restrictions because they like to preserve their culture, and they don't like they just like pure blood, you know. They don't like foreigners mixing with their own people. So I was saying, I feel like at some point it's gonna be inevitable, because if at like every year it gets worse, and every year it keeps on getting worse, and at this point they say if you want to do something, try and do it a different way. If you keep on doing the same thing and it's not working, then it's never gonna work, you know. And people are like, at this point they really need help, because their population is not willing to give birth, and I feel like there's always a history behind a certain action, and there's a reason why Japan people are not giving birth, because people are busy. Like I was looking at a different report where, I don't know if it was Korea or Japan, I'll have to confirm that, people die of loneliness in their own homes. How did it get to such a point where
still Japan?
It's Japan.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does it get to such a point where somebody gets unalived in their own home out of loneliness, you know, and you have a whole structure, a whole country that should be having with families that should be having structure, but somebody still ends up feeling alone, lonely. It means like the kind of structure they have in Japan, or the kind of
policies.
Exactly, the kind of policies they have is what got them to that place, you know.
Right, because in some point in history or in time, the government must have, just the way we see how these first world countries are going.
Even America
because
is headed there.
Even America is headed there, because more often than not, we hear Americans complain that they don't have time to exist as humans themselves, because they are constantly working in order to meet in order to pay bills, in order to meet their rent, in order to do every other thing, but you know, spending extra time at home with their loved ones, you know. So they just constantly work for the system.
Yeah, and then guys, that is one policy we've talked about when we were asking the question of how did they get there, you know. And Japan is a first world country, you know. You look at Japan, you look at all the developments they have, and that life is not cheap, and that life has to be sustained somehow. somehow. It means its population started feeling a certain type of weight before they got to this bad place where they are at.
Yeah, and the government ignored it. So right now,
right?
it's really finding it difficult to encourage people to live as humans again.
Right, and I feel like it's not even going to help to import people and also refrain them from mixing. Refrain them from mixing, importing them, but refrain them from mixing, because what happens to those who genuinely fall in love, and that is how they make babies, because I feel, okay, I'm looking at a situation where I'm predicting you're gonna be importing all these foreigners. They come into your country, refuse them from mingling. Remember, there's a report out there that 1.6 million people died in Japan, and at
only
that year
600,000
babies were born, meaning that generation is quickly
going to dwindle, because you don't know of the 600,000 plus who
how
are
many
born,
are gonna survive,
how many will survive to adulthood.
Exactly. So why am I saying this? Because I'm feeling like at some point in future, if they don't really adjust their thinking, I feel like they will end up importing all these people, and these people will be the ones who will be controlling their country. Japanese will no longer be in control of their country. Why? Because if their population keeps on shrinking and shrinking, foreigners will start getting into politics, into businesses, into the literally controlling the economy, and then we'll end up having a situation where Japanese people are looking like they're the ones who are the guests of that country,
And I guess that is why they don't want these people who are going to Japan to entirely mingle with Japanese people. And that brings me to the next point of the politician, or is it a lawmaker called
councilman?
Yes, the councilman called Naoki, who suggested that women should be married early, and if they reach 25, they should
ban
be
them from marriage.
banned from marriage, and if they reach 30 without having kids, their uteruses should be removed.
And when they reach 18, their education should be cut short. Past 18, they shouldn't receive any type of education.
Right, and my answer to this suggestion was, back then and right now, any type of human being, doesn't matter whether it's big or small, male or female, any type of human being, if they are forced to do anything, that is when they don't do the thing they're supposed to be doing, So this suggestion, to begin with, it wouldn't have even worked. It wouldn't have even gone anywhere.
Right, and I'm feeling like it's never a good idea to oppress one gender in order for you to achieve something. You understand what I'm saying? Because this, if he suggests this, it makes it feel like it's like he's suggesting it's because of women they're not having enough babies. But have they also looked at the mental health of men? Because the fact that you're a man does not make you a good father. The fact that you're a woman does not make you automatically a good mother. You get what I'm saying?
Right, and also on that point, for women, there are those who don't have kids because they simply don't want to, or finances don't allow them, or, it can be a number of reasons. For men, you don't automatically want to become a father, not all of them, because I think people usually assume in this situation it's the women's fault when kids are not being born. But sometimes I do feel like even men might not, John Cena was a very good example, might not want to have kids. And in Japan's case, I know the biggest reason is because of finance, and just how the policies, how it has affected the family structures in Japan.
Then most importantly, if you don't have a great mental health, you wouldn't even want to take care or to have a baby,
Yeah,
because
not only a baby, but anyone outside yourself. You'll only want to, or have energy to take care of you yourself.
Right, and let me tell you one thing, guys. For a baby, for you to have a healthy nation, you need to have a baby who's being raised from childhood to wherever they're supposed to be independent. They need, like, both or one parent needs to be sane. You get what I'm saying? So imagine, let's just picture a situation where whatever he was suggesting happened, right? So that you have one person who was forced to be a parent, that is the woman. You have one person who was forced to impregnate another. Are they going to raise that child into
with the love that it will deserve or it will need?
Yeah, that is gonna breed a country of psychopaths, because even the kids, look at children who turn out that they've been they've been growing in neglect. They've been just left to do their own thing because their parents are neither present or caring for them. It's gonna build a country of sociopaths. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode, and also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on the next episode.